What's your craziest NSFW story that happened at work? The guy I replaced at my heavy equipment job was fired because apparently he was jerking off in his excavator at night during the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. Nobody knew about it until he accidentally sent the picture/video to our boss instead of his girlfriend. They literally hired a company to come steam clean the cab of that Cat 390. Yeah, we don't have a standard repair plan for that. Me and you are starting a business. It'll come clean. You can partner up with my new business Men Without Pants helicopter service, Feel the Breeze. We will make millions. Have a stain you can't get off? We'll rub it out. OMFG, can you imagine the cold horror and existential dread he must have felt after he realized it was his boss it went to? Firing would have been pure relief. My boss was a night owl, so even at 2 a.m., he got that text and read it within seconds. There was no chance at damage control. Even if he wasn't fired, he'd never live it down. I know I knew at one point the aftermath, but I don't recall if he quit right there on the spot or they did it at shift change. Didn't happen to me, but a coworker brought her dog into work and it immediately raced towards the new intern guy, who no one really knew that well yet, and started jumping all over him and trying to get him to pick him up. The guy joked about having bacon in his pocket, but we all suspected our coworker was fucking the intern. And we were right. Edited for clarity. The guy joked about having bacon in his pocket. Turns out he was packing a different kind of meat entirely. Apparently, the coworker likes bacon. Who doesn't like bacon? Vegetarians, I assume. No, but they're still fucking. Been several months now. They tried to deny it at first, but they got sick of all the teasing. Every time one of them passed within 5 feet of the other one's desk, we would all collectively go, "Oh." Imagine the noise an 80s sitcom audience made every time the characters kissed. I swear to God, almost every aspect of your story would get you fired in under a minute where I work. I'm a little jealous because it sounds like you guys have more of a laid-back atmosphere and a friendly rapport, well, a rapport of some sort, at least. Yep. Bringing an animal into work? Fired. Cavorting with a coworker? Fired. Asking a coworker about the details of their personal life, especially anything sexual? Fired. Collectively teasing said coworkers about their sex lives? Sexual harassment and fired. Repeatedly making excess noise, by way of all the ooze, every time the two lovers were near each other? Fired. Undercooked chicken? Believe it or not, fired. Overcook the fish? Also fired. I work in a manufacturing factory that uses a lot of robots to assemble pieces together. The machinery has all sorts of cages, barriers, and safety lockouts to prevent people from injuring themselves. One day, a box had gotten stuck inside the machine and wouldn't come out. So a worker disabled every safety mechanism and started crawling through a narrow path in the equipment, similar to the size of a ventilation shaft in a Die Hard movie, so that he could clear the box from being jammed. Got fired immediately. Glad he got fired. I've seen so many places who would reward corner cutting in favor of efficiency, regardless of the danger it could cause. Perhaps not to this extent, but turn a blind eye? Perhaps. I've seen so many places who would reward corner cutting in favor of efficiency, regardless of the danger it could cause. I worked in a large equipment MFG place for like 2 weeks. Not only was it mind-numbing and extremely loud, I almost permanently injured myself like 5 times, narrowly avoiding anything serious. My dad was an electrician and told to crawl through a steam pipe to fix something. He said fuck no. They said the safety mechanisms were engaged and there was no risk. He said fuck no. While they were trying to convince another person to do it, steam ended up shooting out of the pipe, some jackass saw the safety mechanisms were engaged and figured it was a mistake and disengaged them. That's why lockout-tagout procedures exist. If you don't personally have a lock on the thing preventing you from dying, don't do the work. Loto roulette, nice. Out of curiosity, what's the actual procedure when that happens? Typically it would be a call to maintenance who would tag out the equipment so it can't function, then remove whatever obstruction, then remove the loto and ensure it's now working properly. And for those that don't know, the LO part of loto is literal. These people literally carry around an actual lock with their name on it and physically lock the kill switch on a machine. Oh, a second maintenance guy arrived? Guess what, he puts his own lock on it too, even if there's already a lock there. Police came to inspect all the gas pipes in our labs, looking at the ease of accessibility and recent output. Turns out that the doctor who had been getting a lot of sympathy after his wife and daughter died in a car that was filled with carbon monoxide had in fact filled 2 giant exercise balls with the gas, created a slow leak in them, and put them in the car she drove. Also, someone once disposed of chemicals in the wrong container and there was a significant explosion in the waste room. Luckily no one was in there and no one got hurt. That is just terrible. And that's why you don't try to kill your wife with yoga balls filled with poison gas. Too much can go wrong, like accidentally killing your 16-year-old daughter too. Also, someone once disposed of chemicals in the wrong container and there was a significant explosion in the waste room. Luckily no one was in there and no one got hurt. At a former job, some idiot poured a very toxic chemical into an empty Gatorade bottle and badly scribbled the chemical name on the label. It was hot weather, so a subcontractor grabbed what he thought was Gatorade and took a big swig. Even though he tried to spit it out, he still swallowed enough chemical to be fatal. IDK the chemical. Every safety training after that included info on secondary chemical containers. Rules can get complicated, but a rule of thumb is don't pour dangerous chemicals into drink bottles FFS. That's terrible. That's next level dangerous. After the explosion we had to write down every chemical we disposed of and how much. This list would be checked when the weekly chemical disposal took place. It was tedious, but I understood the need. Been working at a mental hospital as a cook for a few months. Recently while I was serving lunch to all the other patients, one of them decided to crawl into the dish pit. I heard groaning near the end of my line of patients. Go to the dish pit, look around the corner and there's blood everywhere. Slit his wrists and throat. I ran for help, he grabbed the knife and was keeping us from getting it away from him. Then he gutted himself. I didn't see that part. Eventually they got the knife from him and an ambulance showed up, but he died shortly after. Horrific. Editing this in, I realize I should maybe change it to dish pit or dish room, but I'm really enjoying the dipshit dish pit stuff we got going on, which is really nice. That's awful. Also, I read dipshit multiple times even after I knew that wasn't right. Same lol. Same. I'm still confused on the use of dipshit here. Would have helped if I typed dish pit instead, but here we are. Basic Italian subs, a salad and some roasted veggies. Scariest thing I've ever experienced. Even typing it out, I'm trembling a bit. Deathwatch was originally a Star Wars thing I think, but yeah, maybe not the case anymore. Nobody should have to see something like that. Do something nice for yourself, today. My SO used to work at the pointy end of mental health care and saw some hardcore shit during his time. Hell, I work in regular healthcare at the not pointy end and I've seen some gnarly shit myself. I imagine the clinicians at your work have supervision, talking with a more experienced clinician, and maybe an employee assistance program, talking with an external counselor anonymously. Is there anything like that you can access in your role? If you're not sure, ask your manager. And if your manager doesn't have anything useful to offer, is there anyone on the clinical team who you are a little bit friendly with that you could grab a coffee and chat with? You're part of the team and just as deserving of support to process what you experienced. If any of the support staff at my work came to me and said that was wild and I don't know if I'm okay, they would get my undivided attention. As my 2 cents, that patient clearly had a plan and nothing could have dissuaded them from it. They were in the safest place they could be, surrounded by mental health professionals focused on keeping them safe and getting them well, hot and cold running medication, and the patients still found a way to go through with their plan. What they did was their choice, and I'm so sorry that you had to bear witness to it. Definitely not in your job description. Your job is keeping bellies full and bodies nourished, and where you work means that these things help people heal during some of their darkest days. Smiley face. Sometimes the dark days win, but your work gives people the gift of strength they need to try fighting. Respect. Yeah, they've been helpful. A number of group debriefs for everyone involved. Talked to a couple of the doctors that I would joke around with or gotten friendly with. Gave me some resources for outside counseling as well. Thanks for the nice words, and yeah, I just wanted help in my small way. Retail worker here. It's hard to pin down the craziest, but former worker comes in high as a kite on something one evening and heads upstairs, offices, break room, etc. She strips down naked in the hallway, lays down in front of the time clock, and proceeds to piss and masturbate right there on the floor. It was a little later, so not a ton of workers on the clock, but finally an older employee walks in on it and tells her she shouldn't be doing that. And it was all caught on security cameras. Edit, since a few people have asked. Not my store, but a buddy who was involved when it happened at a different location. He was up doing office work when someone went racing past the office door, another manager in hot pursuit. Other manager yells for help, so friend takes off after them. Figures out the man running found the roof access stairs and had made it up and out them. Get to the roof, man is completely naked threatening to jump, not a tall building. They are able to tackle him and hold him until authorities arrive. All the while, naked man's dong flopping around in my friend's face. An older employee walks in on it and tells her she shouldn't be doing that. Hey, you can't park there. That's really not good for the paper tray. There I am. There I am. There I am. I used to do IT support for a charity that supplied housing and support for homeless people. A large proportion also had mental health issues, so there were a fair amount of interesting events that happened. Being in IT, I avoided experiencing most of it firsthand, though I was threatened with being stabbed on about my 3rd day. Anyway, I come in one Monday, and there's an email labeled urgent, saying there was an incident at the stairwell of one of the properties on Sunday night, and could I pull the relevant CCTV footage and put it on a DVD. I had to do this fairly frequently. I skip through the footage, find the incident, usually a fight or blatant drug dealing, and burn it to DVD for the police. The email never mentioned what the incident was, so I skip through the footage and watch as a clearly very agitated man ties a rope around a stair rail at the top of the stairs, then his neck, looks over the rail and then just casually tips forward over it. The rope flipped him round, and he dangled there twitching for far too long, before he just stopped. So yeah, that was pretty NSFW. They really should have given you a warning before having you see that. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Please like and subscribe for more daily content.